Greetings, YouTube. Today I'll be doing a review of the Kershaw Strobe number 1086. And this particular knife is a manual flipper that has a ball bearing system that helps make the opening very smooth. As you can see, it is a steel construction with glass reinforced nylon scales, which are partially exposed. And this is very well-rounded, so I don't mind it so much. A lot of the partial exposures I've seen on some knives, I mean, it's an interesting visual seeing the metal on the edge, but a lot of the time the edge I think is too sharp. But this, they've actually contoured it. Oh, here, I get a better part. They've contoured it so it thins out towards the sides, which I think is much more comfortable. As you can see, it is a tip-up carry with a deep pocket clip. The pocket clip is reversible. I think it's quite interesting because if you take out the screw and remove that, you can do the same thing with this side, but there's a metal insert in here. So when you're not using that side, it's very flush. It looks very nice. There's no gap there at all. I think that was a very nice touch. I quite like the way they executed that design. One thing I found interesting, if you note here, the way this is made, it almost looks like it was originally designed as a frame lock. Because this is just much heavier than I'm used to when it comes to a liner lock. Also, the relief cut is on the outside, which I don't think that makes a whit of difference as far as machining is concerned. But I'm always intrigued why sometimes they put the relief cut on the outside and sometimes they put the relief cut on the inside. I'm never quite sure why that is. If someone out there can tell me if there's a mechanically different effect from having that relief cut in one direction or another, does it prevent something or does it allow something that I am unaware of? Because I don't quite grasp how that works. However, you can see that it has a black clip and a black pivot screw, and it has a black pin, which is the stop pin for the blade. Now, what's interesting is I've poken around online this morning because I was looking for the information about whether these were G10 or glass nylon. I couldn't remember, and I've seen images that showed a silver clip and a black pivot, and I've seen one that had a silver clip, a silver pivot, and no pin. So you could see absolutely no pin. Now, I don't know if I'm looking at different iterations of the knife. Are there different models available that I'm unaware of? Or are these images that were presented from Kershaw over the course of the knife's development? So you're looking at the knife at different stages, and these images are from that, and this is the final knife. So I've whetted your appetite long enough. Let's go. This thing is just absolutely beautiful to deploy. See that again? That is just so smooth. It's like silk. It really is. As you can see, drop point design has a swedge here, a partial swedge, doesn't go all the way to the tip, which is fine because you don't want to have, I like having that flat right there. I think it gives a little more strength to the tip. One of my only few critiques on the knife is you notice what the shape of the swedge on this side is, and you notice the shape of the swedge on this side. They are not the same. This looks like it was not fully machined. And that's not enough for me to return the blade, but it is going to be a mark off of the quality here. I'm definitely going to hold them accountable to that. And as I said, with those contoured scales, this has a really nice ergonomic design. Now, let me think about when we actually talk about this a little bit. This is a very slim profile. Okay, that's not large at all, and it sits fairly nicely in your pocket. Now, speaking of pocket real estate, the pocket being in your pocket. Let's pull in my scale, which I actually remembered to bring this week. Woohoo, bring the scale. And we have 125 grams. So it's not on the light side. And it does slightly pucker your pocket when it's in there. I wear jeans, so it's not too bad. But if you're wearing thinner pocket pants, this might actually drag a little bit on the pocket. But I didn't mind it at all. Now, it's very slim. And what to me is surprising is when you open it, this blade seems very much wider than the package when it's closed. And one of the things I really like about this knife is, even though it has a really nice blade with lots of belly, is that this is very thin. So when you're holding this in your hand and you're closing it in your hand like this or like that, it fits in the hollow of your fist incredibly comfortably. Now if you make your fist and you look down the center like this, there's a space in there. This perfectly fills that space. There's enough to make you feel you've got a knife in your hand. It's comfortable in all directions. There's no hot spots, nothing. But it is not a millimeter more than you need to grip this knife safely. This is one of the most comfortable blades I've ever held. Now, because of it is a flipper, it has a really nice choil in here, and this acts as a guard, and that just locks your finger in. That's it. You are not going anywhere with this knife. There is no jimping on the blade at all. That's fine. Even though I consider this to be a medium-duty knife, I don't think you really need that. I think I think jimping is frequently used a little bit extraneously. There is some here on the liner lock, but it's very subtle and rounded, so it gives you purchase, and it does sit proud, so this liner lock sits further out than this, so it's very easy to get your finger in there, and it's very comfortable to close that. Now I can do this left-handed. It's a flipper, so that's kind of and I can close it left-handed. And if I can close it left-handed, a left-handed person can close it left-handed far more elegantly than I can. And because it's reversible, this is a knife that is probably going to be fairly friendly to southpaws, even though it is not a liner lock specifically designed for southpaws. I think that it falls into the category of usability, and it can be quite comfortable for a person that is left-handed. Anything else I need to talk to about this today? The lockup is solid. There is no wiggle room in either direction. And if you get in there, you can see there's a little ball bearing on that, which is nice. And it's about a 50% lockup, which is, to my mind, perfect. What you want. I don't want to have it going too much further than that. Centering is decent. It's not quite perfect, but this is a $40 knife, and for everything else that's going for it, I am not going to quibble over a millimeter or so of centering being off. My only real mark off on this particular review is that the swedge is not equal on both sides. But this has fast become one of my favorite knives to carry. This is just so nice, and it feels so good, and it opens up so smooth. So this is a major victory in my mind for Kershaw. This is a great blade. I'm really happy I own it. I think that anyone who likes a knife in like the 3-inch range, is a 3.3-inch blade, is going to love this knife. It's not too big in my opinion. It's not too small. It fits your hand incredibly comfortably. And if you like a reverse grip, it's very comfortable. And because of that nice deep choil and guard, your hand is also not going anywhere. There is some jimping here on the butt, which to almost my mind means they designed it for this. Also interesting is that it is got a little texture to it. I mean, like a little geometric pattern there, which I think is quite attractive. They went a little further than they had to on that. That's a spacer, and I appreciate that. Obviously, semi-open with construction makes it really easy to clean, which I happen to appreciate. So overall, folks, I think Kershaw has gotten a incredibly good design here, and I got a good design. I apologize. And I think that anyone who's a Kershaw fan is going to want to buy one of these knives as soon as possible.